5 nominees to serve in the Embakasi South Constituency Committee of the National Government Constituency Development Fund. And this Stephen Omari Odero, Duncan Mulwanduva, Sabina Warukira Wanjohi, Linet Mugasiali Madete, Vincent Odongo Bunde, Abanas Muikia Musau, and Lydia Kwamboka Obogi. They are representing the youth, adults, persons with disabilities, and two of those nominees are also from the constituency office. Members also did deliberate extensively, made amendments to the National Cohesion and Integration Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of the year 2019, which they want to amend and align it to the Constitution, and they have approved an extension to the term of members of that particular commission. They shall serve for 6 years. Previously, it was 3 years with the provision of an extension of another 3 years. Members of the National Assembly have also resolved that they will not nominate these members of the National Cohesion and Integration Commission as directed by the courts, but they will do the vetting once the nominations are done and are presented to Parliament. The leader of Majority Party, Honorable Aden Duale, successfully moved the Statute Law Miscellaneous Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 21 of the year 2019, that is now headed for debate. It is another omnibus of various laws that are to be amended in order to address issues effectively as they may arise. And that is generally a summary of what was transacted in the morning, in addition to a number of questions from members to various cabinet secretaries through the relevant departmental committees. And so this afternoon, as they look to wrap up some of the pending issues, members are expected to consider a report on the inquiry into procurement and implementation of exercisable goods management system and integrated production accounting system by the Kenya Revenue Authority. It is a report that has been prepared by the Public Investments Committee. Another is on the examination of the financial statements for the national government for the financial year 2015-2016, also prepared by that same committee, the Committee on Public Investments. Also lined up questions from members, including Bonchari, Member of Parliament, Honorable John Oro Oyoka, Director to the Cabinet Secretary, Public Service, Youth and Gender Affairs, and concerning the number of university and colleges graduates that have secured internship opportunities in public service since the enactment of the National Employment Authority Act number 3 of the year 2016, and what measures that ministry is putting in place to ensure that the youth or persons who have gone through university or colleges have access to internship opportunities in public service. Keyo North Constituency Member of Parliament, Honorable Dr. James Kipkosgei Murgor, has a question for the Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury and Planning concerning retirement benefits and gratuity dues to one Mrs. Philomena Chebiwot Chemitei. She retired from the Public Service Secretary concerning operationalization of administrative units in Samburu North constituency. And also regarding physical infrastructure and appointment or employment of local officials, administrators, namely chiefs, sub-chiefs, and other administration personnel. And this question will be replied through the Departmental Committee on Administration and National Security. As it is the norm, it is a live broadcast brought to you by the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit in conjunction with the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. It is also available via a live stream on YouTube, also accessible on Signet, Bunge Television, an audio version in Kiswahili, currently live on KBC Radio Taifa 92.9 FM. My name is Vereso Mwanga, and on behalf of the entire crew, I welcome you to follow the sittings. Good afternoon.
Of important trust in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to enhance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests were committed to our charge. Amen.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
I'll give the communication later.
Order number 3, messages.
Honour members, I wish to report to the House that I have received a message from His Excellency the President conveying his nomination of persons for appointment as ambassadors and high commissioners. His Excellency the President, having exercised his powers under Article 132, Clause 2, Paragraph E of the Constitution, is now seeking the National Assembly's approval of the following persons for appointment to the offices of ambassadors and high commissioners. 1, Kariuki Mugwe, Mission Abu Dhabi. 2, Peter Katana Angore, Mission Algiers. 3, Michael Mobea, State Mission Dublin. 4, Flora Karugu, Mission Lusaka. 5, Mwende Mwinzi, Mission Seoul. 6, Diana Kiambuthi, Mission Stockholm. 7, Jambi Kinyungu, Mission UN Habitat. Honour members, in accordance with the provision of Standing Order number 45.1, which requires that upon receipt of notification of nomination for appointment, such nomination shall stand committed to the relevant departmental committee for consideration, in this case being the Committee on Defense and Foreign Relations, for vetting of the nominees proposed for appointment as High Commissioners and Ambassadors. Honour members, Section 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act requires that a committee shall consider a nomination and table a report for debate and decision in the House within 14 days from the date of the notification. In this regard, and in accordance with the provisions of Article 259, Clause 5, Paragraph A of the Constitution, read together with Section 5 of the said Act, the 7 days notification to the public shall start running on the day following the day when the notice is published in the dailies. Honour members, given that the House is expected to proceed for recess, it is advisable that the relevant departmental committee expeditiously proceeds to notify the respective nominees and the public and commence the approval hearings after the 7-day notification period. The committee is also welcome to seek an extension for the period of consideration of the nominees so as to table its report upon return of the House from the recess. This message, together with the curriculum vitae of the nominees, therefore stands committed to the said departmental committee. I thank you, members.
Order number 4, petitions.
The Honorable Anthony Gediaka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is public petition number 46 of 2019 regarding distribution of textbooks to public schools. I, the undersigned, on behalf of members of Kenya Booksellers and Stationers Association, draw the attention of the House to the following: that the Kenya Booksellers and Stationers Association have been distributing books in line with the Ministry of Education policy that was formulated in 1998 and a pilot project done in Machakos, Laikipia counties by the government of Kenya in partnership with the Republic of Projects Northlands. That direct delivery of schools allowed for inspection and verification of books by an inspection and acceptance committee and ensured that micro, small, and medium enterprises accessed government procurement opportunities in accordance with the provisions of the Public Procurement and Disposal Act. That in 2016, the Cabinet Secretary for Education unilaterally revised the policy and resolved to directly supply books to county education headquarters and not schools without public participation and due consultations with booksellers as stakeholders. That the centralization and direct distribution of books at the county level by the ministry has resulted into loss of livelihoods and business persons and bookstore owners who used to earn a living from supplies to school. That for the last 2 years, standards 4, 5, 6 have not had any textbooks, while classes 7 and petitioners pray that the National Assembly, through the Departmental Committee of Education and Research, recommends that the Ministry of Education reconsiders its policy on book distribution that allows direct delivery of textbooks to schools, and that ensures that micro, small, and medium enterprises access opportunities for government procurement and supply of textbooks in accordance with the provisions of the Public Procurement and Disposal Act. And your petitioners will ever pray. Thank you.
Well, petition committed to the relevant committee being Education and Research. The next petition is by the Honorable Gideon Mulyungi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to present petition number 38 of 2019 regarding insecurity and displacement of communities as a result of invasion of private community land by nomadic pastoralists in Ukasi, Imba, and Wingemi locations in Mwingi East Sub-County of Kitui County. I, the undersigned, on behalf of residents of Ukasi, Imba, and Wingemi locations of Mwingi East Sub-County of Kitui County, draw the attention of the House to the following. Number one, that the petitioners who are peasant farmers and who also keep livestock have lived in Ukasi, Imba, and Wingemi locations in Mwingi East Sub-County of Kitui County for many years. Number two, that due to proximity to Tana River County of northeastern Kenya, there have been conflicts and insecurity occasioned by nomadic pastoralists arising from competition over diminishing grazing land on the border of Kitui and Tana River counties. Number three, that over the years, the national security organs, national police reservists, and the local community have always stopped or regulated invasion of nomads to Kitui County, hence safeguarding the local communities from displacement. Number four, that in December 2018, a group of over 1,000 nomadic herders alleging to originate from northeastern Kenya invaded Ngamba Kalamba village of Mwingi East Sub-County and evicted the local residents from their land, built makeshift structures, and settled there with their families and livestock. Number five, that as a result of the conflict and insecurity, the local residents have been displaced from their private farms, suffered from loss of livelihood, injuries and maiming, destruction of property, destruction of water points, pasture, forests, farms, and farm produce, besides losing livestock and personal belongings. Six, that the insecurity has resulted into hindrance of the right to education of school-going children, as evidenced by the decrease in enrollment at Kamuluyuni Primary School to 57 pupils, and occasioning the closure of Ngamba Primary School. Number seven, further, this eviction, grazing, and settlement by strangers on private and community land is a gross violation of the rights of the affected people, in particular Article 29, freedom and security of citizens, and Article 40, protection of the rights of property. 8, that the intervention by the Deputy County Commissioner of Mwingi East Sub-County on 28 March 2019, directing that the herders leave the area within 14 days and return to their home counties has not been complied with. 9, that efforts to resolve this conflict and cause the nomadic herders to leave the affected areas have been futile. 10, that the issues raised in respect of this petition are not pending before any court of law, constitutional or legal body. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, your humble petitioners pray that the National Assembly, through the Departmental Committee on Administration and National Security, 1, causes investigations into the root causes of the invasion of Ukasi, Imba, and Wingemi locations in Mwingi East Sub-County of Kitui County by nomadic herders, and establish why the grave violation of the rights of the communities remains unresolved. And 2, recommends a lasting solution to the conflict among the communities on the border of Kitui and the Tana River counties. And your petitioners will ever pray. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The petition is committed to the same relevant committee for consideration. Let's go to the next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Leader of the majority.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House. Today, Thursday, May 9th, 2019, afternoon sitting. 1, the report of the Auditor General on the financial statement in respect of the following institutions for the year that ended 30th June 2018 and the certificate therein. The Office of the Attorney General and Department of Justice. 2, Revenue Accountability Statement of the Kenya Revenue Authority, and 3, Kenya Revenue Authority. 2, the report of the Auditor General and financial statements in respect of the following constituencies for the financial year that ended 30th June 2018, and the certificate therein. Kitui South, Mwingi Central, Jomvu, Taveta, Tigania West, Mwingi North, Mwingi West, Chuka Igamba Ngombe, Igembe Central, Mara, and Pokot South. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Vice Chair, Education and Research.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Thursday, May 9, 2019, afternoon sitting. 1, the report of the Departmental Committee on Education and Research on session of paper number 1 of 2019 on policy framework for reforming education and training for sustainable development in Kenya. And 2, Mr. Speaker, the report of the Departmental Committee on Education and Research on a petition on the implementation of delocalization policy by Teacher Service Commission by Honorable Patrick Mariru, MP, on behalf of the teachers from Laikipia West constituency. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
There was Chairperson, Justice and Legal Affairs Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House. Today, Thursday, May 9th, 2019, afternoon session. Reports of the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs on its consideration of 1, the state of the judiciary and administration of justice report for the year 2016-17, and 2, the state of the judiciary and the administration of justice report for the year 2017-2018. And Mr. Speaker, allow me to request my colleagues to have time to obtain these copies of the report in room number table office, so that, Mr. Speaker, they have time to go through it, so that when we come back for recess and the House Business Committee will allocate time, members will be able to really discuss this very important report for the judiciary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Honorable Kimunya.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion. That this House adopts the report of the Departmental Committee on Education and Research on session of paper number 1 of 2019 on policy framework for reforming education and training for sustainable development in Kenya, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, May the 9th, 2019. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order.
Order number.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask question 027 of 2019, directed to the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and Coordination of National Government. And the first question is the Cabinet Secretary aware that one John Kiano, a minor of below 4 years, was allegedly abducted on 5th April 2019 at Tipuana Apartments at Brookside Gardens in Westlands area of Nairobi City County by persons believed to be security personnel? Is the Cabinet Secretary further aware that the Guardian's efforts to have the matter entered in the police records at the Spring Valley Police Station on 5th April 2019 at 6:30 p.m. was thwarted by police who declined to enter the abduction record in the occurrence book? And finally, Mr. Speaker, has the ministry investigated all persons and institutions involved in the matter, including the persons who recorded occurrence book entry number OB36 of 5th April 2019 at the Spring Valley Police Station and the Child Welfare Society of Kenya, and what is the progress of the investigations? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Referred to the Committee on Administration and National Security. Honorary questions, member for Borabu.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask question 225/2019. And the question is directed to the Cabinet Secretary for Transport, Infrastructure, Housing, and Urban Development. 1. Is the Cabinet Secretary aware that the construction of Kebrego-Mosobet Road in Borabu constituency are stalled despite the contract being awarded in 2014 for a period of 18 months, and a part of the contractual payments paid to the contractor? 2, is the Cabinet Secretary further aware that a section of the said road, known as Rirum area near River Gucha, is impassable and in a deplorable state due to the incompleteness of the said road? 3, what measures is the ministry putting in place to ensure that the said road is completed without further delay? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Be replied before the Committee on Transport, Public Works and Housing. Next question by the Honorable Member for Kirinyaga County, Purity Grish.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask the question number 230 of 2019 to the Cabinet Secretary for Environment and Forestry. Is the Cabinet Secretary aware of the recent fire outbreak in the Mount Kenya forest and its environs, where over 100,000 acres of forest were destroyed? Number 2, could the Cabinet Secretary explain reasons for the increased upsurge of forest fires in Mount Kenya forest and its environs and other forests in the country for the last 3 years? Number 3, what measures has the ministry put in place to mitigate against the rampant cases of fire outbreaks and their effects to the surroundings, including reducing the total acreage of the forest cover being lost? Thank you.
To be replied before the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources. Next question by the member for Lugari, Honorable Savula.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask question number 232 of 2019 to the Cabinet Secretary for Environment and Forestry. Could the Cabinet Secretary state the progress made in the degazettement of 1,577.86 hectares of Mautuma settlement scheme of Tarbo Reserve Forest area in Lugari constituency, considering that the necessary procedures for degazettement of the settlement scheme were duly undertaken in 2016 and 2017? Thank you, Speaker.
Very well. To be replied before the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources. Final question by the member of Meru County, Honorable Bishop Kawira Mwangaza.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask question number 233 of 2019 to the Cabinet Secretary for Education. Is the Cabinet Secretary aware that over 370,000 students from Meru County are still awaiting issuance of birth certificates in order to register for their final examinations? Could the ministry consider extending the period for registration for exams to cater for the 370,000 students in Meru County who are in the process of acquiring birth certificates? What measures has the ministry put in place to facilitate the students register for their final examinations for the year 2019? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
To be responded before the Committee on Education and Research.
Statement on behalf of the House Business Committee. The committee met on Tuesday, May 7th, 2019, at the rise of the House. As members are aware, the House is scheduled to proceed on a long recess commencing tomorrow in accordance with the calendar of the House and a resolution of the House of March 26, 2019. And in this regard, the House Business Committee has not scheduled any business for next week. Upon resumption from recess on Tuesday, June 4th, we will continue with any business that is not concluded today. It's also expected that the Budget and Appropriation Committee, alongside the departmental committees, will have concluded the consideration of the budget estimates of the national government for the financial year 2019-2020 during the recess period and table their report for debate once we resume. Scheduling of questions will also continue upon resumption of our regular sittings. Honorable Speaker, I now wish to lay this statement on the table of the House.
Before we proceed, allow me to recognize the presence in the Speaker's Gallery of students from Mount Kenya Senior School, Nyeri Town Constituency, Nyeri County, and those from Kaurone Primary School, South Imenti Constituency, Meru County, and Life Victory Education Center, Ruaraka Constituency, Nairobi County. They are welcome to observe the proceedings in the House. Now, honourable members, I indicated that I have this communication to make. You will recall that during the afternoon sitting of Thursday, 28th of March, 2019, the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Education and Research, the Honorable Julius Meli, rose on a point of order seeking the guidance of the Speaker on the very important question of declaration of interest during committee sittings in compliance with Standing Order number 90, which provides for the declaration of interest. The Honorable Meli noted that during a meeting of the Departmental Committee on Education and Research with officials from the Kenya National Union of Teachers and the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, in brackets, KUPET, on 26th of March, 2019, 3 honorable members of the committee declared that they had interest in the matters before the committee by virtue of being members of both NAT and KUPET. The Honorable Meli further reported that during the course of the meeting, he had to severally interrupt 2 of the 3 members and remind them of their cardinal role as members of the committee, apart from being representatives of the unions where they held membership or office positions. He therefore sought the guidance of the Speaker regarding the following issues. 1, the need for a clear interpretation of Standing Order number 90 and what it entails and how it can be reinforced. 2, whether a member who declares possible conflict of interest should be allowed to participate fully in the ensuing discussion of the committee, or whether the member should excuse himself or herself from the committee deliberations. And 3, whether a member who declares a possible conflict of interest should take part in the vetting of a nominee for appointment to a public office. Honourable members, we will also recall that the leader of the majority party rose in support of the point raised by the Honourable Meli and noted that the issue of conflict of interest in committees is still prevalent, despite previous guidance from the Speaker on 26th of July 2018, cautioning that failure to disclose an interest before the commencement of deliberations creates a presumption that any contribution made to a matter under consideration. He gave an example of a unique circumstances relating to the Honourable Wilson Sosion, nominated MP, who is a member of the Departmental Committees on Education and Research and Labor and Social Welfare, while still serving as the Secretary General of NAT, a trade union. He further noted that the Honourable Omboko Milemba, a former chairperson of CUPET and a trade unionist in his own right, is also a member of both committees. The leader of the majority party sought the guidance of the Speaker as to, 1, the interpretation of Standing Order number 90, including the manner in which members are to declare interest and in what form the declaration should be made, and 2, whether a member who declares conflict of interest should be allowed to participate fully in the ensuing proceedings of the committee, or whether the said member should recuse himself or herself from the committee deliberations. Honourable members, you'll also recall that the leader of the minority party, the Honourable John Bandi, the Honourable Millie Odhiambo, the Honourable Kimani Ichung'wah, the Honourable Dr. Chris Wamalwa, the Honourable David Kosing, the Honourable Vincent Komosi, the Honourable Jeremiah Kioni, the Honourable Mboko Milemba, and the Honourable TJ Kajwang had all at length weighed in on the ensuing debate, wherefore I undertook to give a considered ruling on the matter. Honourable members, from the point of order raised by the Honourable Melly and the debate that followed, I have isolated for determination the import of Standing Order number 90 and the obligations it places on the conduct of members of Parliament. Standing Order number 90 on declaration of interest provides the following, and I quote, 1, a member who wishes to speak on any matter in which the member has a personal interest shall first declare that interest. 2, personal interests include pecuniary interest, proprietary interest, personal relationships, and business relationships. From the outset, I must note that the Standing Order reminds this House and its members of the unique responsibilities delegated by the people in the exercise of their sovereignty as provided for in Article 1. Article 73 of the Constitution, under Chapter 6 on leadership and integrity, states the following in paragraph 2, and I quote, the guiding principles of leadership and integrity include B, objectivity and impartiality in decision-making and in ensuring that decisions are not influenced by nepotism, favoritism, other improper motives, or corrupt practices. C, selfless service based solely on the public interest demonstrated by, Roman 1, honesty in the execution of public duties, Roman 2, the declaration of any personal interest that may conflict with public duties, D, accountability to the public for decisions and actions, and E, discipline and commitment in service to the people, close the quotes. Honourable members, Chapter 6 of the Constitution provides clear guidance on and prescribes principles of leadership and integrity which apply to the conduct of members as state officers. Under Article 73, Clause 2, Paragraph C, it is outlined that the declaration of any personal interest that may conflict with public duties as a key principle of leadership and integrity. The practice of declaring and registering interests held by members is not unique to the Kenyan Parliament, and it is coached on the rationale that the public expects to know whether, in making decisions on their behalf, the actions of their elected representatives are motivated by personal or private influence. Members, I resume my seat to allow members who are there to make their way in quickly. Now, honourable members, I resume my seat to allow you to come in, not to begin registering. Now, Act of 2012 and the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act of 2017 prescribe instances where the failure to appreciate the obligations imposed on a state officer and to serve in the interest of the public may lead to adverse action, including removal from office. Article 75, Clause 1 of the Constitution requires the conduct of a state officer to always accord to the office which an officer holds, and it states, and I quote, a state officer shall behave, whether in public and official life, in private life, or in association with other persons, in a manner that avoids A, any conflict between personal interests and public or official duties, close the quotes. The requirements of Article 75 of the Constitution on a state officer highlight the primacy that the Constitution attributes the non-advancement of private or personal interests while holding a public office. As ably noted by the leader of the majority party, Article 122, Clause 3 of the Constitution precludes a member of Parliament from voting on a matter in which the member has a pecuniary interest. This express prohibition is qualified by Article 116 of the Constitution in two ways. First, Article 116, Clause 3 allows members of Parliament to enact a legislation which grants them a collective pecuniary benefit, but defers the coming into force of such a legislation until the term of the members comes to an end. On its part, Article 116, Clause 4 allows members to enact a legislation which grants them a general pecuniary benefit that may accrue to them as members of the public. Members, the example is like for members voting to have a road constructed in a particular area. Members, taking a leave from the example provided in the Constitution and Article 116, Clauses 3 and 4, one will note that having a personal or private interest in a particular matter is not in itself prohibited. Indeed, as mentioned by the Honorable Millie Odhiambo, her interest in matters relating to the welfare of children, having previously worked with a child welfare organization, ranks equal with the personal interests of members of this House who are also parents. On face value, it may therefore be argued that one needs to have a personal interest in a matter for it to be properly prosecuted. However, what is prohibited is the failure to declare the interest and the consequent influence of the declared or undeclared interest on debate and decision of the House or its committees. As you are aware, this House enacted the Leadership and Integrity Act of 2012 and the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act 2017 to implement Chapter 6 and Article 117 of the Constitution. Section 12 of the Public Officer Ethics Act of 2003, which was enacted before the promulgation of the new Constitution, provides guidance as to what constitutes a conflict of interest and the various obligations imposed on public officers generally. And I quote, Section 12, Subsection 1, a public officer shall use his best efforts to avoid being in a position in which his personal interests conflict with his official duties. 2, without limiting the generality of subsection 1, a public officer shall not hold shares or have any other interest in a corporation, partnership, or other body, directly or through another person, if holding those shares or having that interest would result in the public officer's personal interests conflicting with his official duties. 3, a public officer whose personal interests conflict with his official duties shall, A, declare the personal interest to his superior or other appropriate body and comply with any directions to avoid the conflict, and B, refrain from participating in any deliberations with respect to the matter. Clause 6, subsection 6, in this section, personal interest includes the interest of a spouse, relative, or business associate. Quite similarly, honorable members, Section 16 of the Leadership and Integrity Act provides particular guidance as to what circumstances constitute a conflict of interest and the various obligations that the House saw fit to impose upon its members and other state officers. It states, and I quote, without limiting the generality of subsection 1, a state officer or public officer shall not hold shares or have any other interest in a corporation, partnership, or other body, directly or through another person, if holding those shares or having that interest would result in a conflict of the state officers or public officers' personal interests and the officer's official duties. 3 thereof, a state officer or public officer whose personal interests conflict with their official duties shall declare the personal interest to the public entity or the commission. 4 thereof, the commission or a public entity may give direction on the appropriate action to be taken by the state officer or public officer to avoid the conflict of interest, and the state officer or public officer shall comply with the directions and refrain from participating in any deliberations with respect to the matter. Again, I put emphasis on refrain from participating in any deliberations with respect to the matter. Subsection 6, in this section, personal interest includes the interest of a spouse, child, business associate or agent, or any other matter in which the state officer or public officer has a direct or indirect pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest. Subsection 7, where a state officer or public officer is present at a meeting where an issue which is likely to result in a conflict of interest is to be discussed, the state officer or public officer shall declare the interest at the beginning of the meeting or before the issue is deliberated upon. Subsection 8, and they put emphasis, a declaration of conflict of interest under subsection 7 shall be recorded in the minutes of that meeting. Subsection 9, subject to Article 116, clauses 3 and 4 of the Constitution, a member of Parliament or a member of a county assembly shall declare any direct pecuniary interest or benefit of whatever nature in any A, debate or proceeding of the body of which he or she is a member, B, debate or proceeding in any committee of that body, and C, transaction or communication which the state officer may have with other members of the body, state officers, public officers, or government officers. Close the quote. Honourable members, Section 16 of the Leadership and Integrity Act further requires every public entity, and for the avoidance of doubt, that includes this House, to maintain a public register of interests in which state officers are to register the particulars of various interests that are outlined in the second schedule to the Act. These include directorships of companies, ownerships of shares, contracts for supply of goods or services, funded trips, future expectations of employment, land and property sponsorships, direct or indirect gifts, benefits or hospitality, pending civil or criminal cases touching on a state officer, business associate, or firm, and the possession of dual citizenship. Under the Act, each state officer is obliged to update any change in the status of the interests registered with a public entity within 1 month of such change. Honourable members, in addition, this House went further and enacted the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act of 2017. Section 16, paragraph C thereof, provides that the Committee of Powers and Privilege may find a member to be in breach of privilege if the member willfully fails or refuses to obey any rule of Parliament. A member who therefore decides to willfully disregard the provisions of Standing Order number 90 on declaration of interests may therefore be in breach of privilege and subject to the disciplinary action envisaged under Section 17, subsection 3 of the said Act. It is also noteworthy that the Act also incorporates in its third schedule a code of conduct applicable to members of Parliament. As honourable members will recall, the code of conduct which each member in this House undertook to abide by upon taking oath of office, paragraph 4 of the code provides that members shall, in the conduct of their parliamentary duties, act in the public interest and resolve any conflict between their personal interests and the public interest in favor of the public interest. Paragraph C of the code further provides, and I quote, members of the House shall, A, register with the relevant speaker all financial and non-financial interests that may reasonably influence their parliamentary actions. B, before contributing to debate in the House or its committees or communicating with the state officers or other public servants, declare any relevant interest in the context of parliamentary debate or the matter under discussion. And C, observe any rules agreed of the House in respect of financial support for members or the facilities of the House. Subsection 2, a relevant interest is an interest that may be seen by a reasonable member of the public to influence the way in which a member discharges his or her parliamentary duties. Subsection 3, members shall ensure that the registered interests are accurate and updated within 1 month of any change in particulars. Honourable members, standing order number 90 does not preclude a member who has procedurally declared their interest in a matter from participating in the debate on the matter in the committee or in the House. The only express prohibition to the exercise of a member's constitutional role is with regard to voting on a matter in which the member has a direct pecuniary interest under Article 122 of the Constitution, as qualified by Article 116, Clause 3 of the Constitution, as I've noted above. The obligations that the Constitution, the Leadership and Integrity Act, and the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act outline are placed on each member individually. The responsibilities relate to the discipline of each member and the House, the Committee of Powers and Privileges, and other committees. It is expected that the respective chairpersons of committees should always protect the dignity of the House in committees and the privileges enjoyed by members. Once again, honourable members, let me assume my seat to allow those members to make their way in. Honourable members, it was to allow members to make their way in, and those who had already gotten tired of being in the chamber to also walk out. Honourable members, permit me to refer the House to the ruling made by the Speaker on Wednesday, 24th July 2014. Then, as now, the question arose in similar framing as to what is the effect of a failure to declare interest in a matter under consideration, and what ensues after a member declares a possible conflict of interest on a matter. Speaker then guided that it is the responsibility of members to declare any interest that they may have in any matter before the House or a committee. Let me now turn to the comparable jurisdictions. In the Parliament of the United Kingdom, the regime for declaration of interest is wider than registration of members' interests. It covers not just direct or current interest, but indirect interest, past interests, and expected future interests. In the same jurisdiction, interest must be declared not only when speaking, but when giving written notices, including when filing questions. It also extends to correspondences and meetings with ministers, public officials, and other members. Paid advocacy is prohibited. Members are not allowed to engage in any parliamentary proceedings or to seek to influence others in such a way as to benefit exclusively a body outside Parliament in which they have pecuniary interest. Formal lobbying is also attracting the attention of the UK Houses of Parliament. Asking May's Parliamentary Practice on an Authority on Parliamentary Practice and Procedure notes that in the 24th edition, with regard to the House of Commons, that, and I quote, the House has two distinct but related methods for the disclosure of the personal financial interests of its members. Registration of interest in a register, which is publicly available, the declaration of interest in the course of debate, in other contexts. The main purpose of the register is to give public notification on a continuous basis of those financial interests held by members, which might be thought to influence their parliamentary conduct or actions. The main purpose of the declaration is to ensure that fellow members of the House and the public are made aware at the appropriate time when a member is participating in the proceedings of the House of any past, present, or expected future financial interest which might reasonably be thought to be relevant to those proceedings. In addition, in the interest of transparency, in certain circumstances, members are encouraged to declare non-financial interests as well. Honourable members, the U.S. Congress has also very robust laws governing declaration of interest by members of the U.S. Congress. The rules of the House of Representatives spell out a code of conduct for members of the House of Representatives as contained in Rule number 23 of the 116th Congress. According to the code, members of the House of Representatives are required to adhere to the rules in performance of their duties as members of the House of Representatives. It is noteworthy that the Ethics in Government Act of 1978 also contains rules on disclosure of financial interests by members of the Congress. It is said that the late Senator John McCain, who you would all recall was also a presidential candidate, was such a strict follower of rules of declaration of interests that he recused himself from voting on alcohol-related legislation, even though he ran no risk of being reprimanded by the Ethics Committee. In the 1980s and 90s, he is said to have recused himself from voting on bills requiring producers to provide government warning labels on bottles because, in his view, his wife, having been one of the owners of the main alcohol distributing company in the country, posed potential conflict of his interests in the matter. On matters declaration of interest, it is said his conscience led him. Honourable members, looking at the Parliament of Australia in particular, the House of Representatives, matters of pecuniary interests of members, it is noteworthy that in terms of voting, standing under number 134, paragraph A of the House of Representatives of Australia's Parliament, provides that a member may not vote on a question on a matter in which he or she has a particular direct pecuniary interest other than public policy. The rule allows other members to challenge another member's vote on the grounds of pecuniary interest. Having established the general law on our members and the practice of the declaration of interest by members and examined the comparable jurisdictions, rules of conflict of interest, permit me to attempt to answer the questions which I had earlier on isolated for guidance. I'll start with the first issue, namely what is the scope of starting under number 90 and how it can be enforced. Starting under number 90 should be interpreted to mean that when a member wishes to speak on any matter, be it in the House or before a committee, for which he has a personal interest, which includes pecuniary interest, proprietary interest, personal relationships, and business relationships, he or she should declare it first, and the failure to declare interest amounts to misconduct and abuse of privilege. It therefore follows that any member or members with interest on a matter under consideration should declare the interest before the commencement of the meeting or at any other time during debate whenever the particular matter arises, and recuse themselves from the ensuing deliberations as may be directed. Honourable members, this now takes me to the second matter requiring my determination, namely after declaring, which is that a member, and I quote, a member shall not vote on any question in which the member has a pecuniary interest, close the quotes. This does not, however, give a member the leeway to simply declare interest, proceed to participate fully in the ensuing debate, and only recuse himself during voting. Each case ought to be considered on its own merit. In this regard, following a declaration of interest, the chairperson of a committee or the speaker, as the case may be, may require the particular member to recuse himself or herself during debate on the matter, in addition to barring such member from actual voting on the matter in question. Honourable members, I will now turn to the third issue requiring my response, which is whether a member who declares conflict of interest that directly touches on a nominee for appointment into a public office could take part in the process of vetting before the relevant committee or the House. Honourable members, you may wish to know that one of the roles of the National Assembly is to exercise oversight over state organs. It is therefore my finding that such a member should rely on their conscience and may participate during the vetting hearing, but he or she should not take part in voting pursuant to the provisions of Article 122, Clause 3 of the Constitution. But the question is, but what if the interest declared includes personal or business relationships with the candidate undergoing vetting in a committee? In such a case, it is my finding that such a member should not only be disallowed from voting in the committee and the House, but should also recuse himself or herself during the vetting hearings and approval debate in the particular committee and in the House. Let me now address the issue of the members of Parliament nominated under Article 97, Clause 1 of the Constitution. That is, those representing the special interests, including the interests of the youth, persons living with disabilities, and workers. The framers of our Constitution consciously incorporated this provision in our Constitution, perhaps to ensure that the special interests of the categories of those persons is taken into the proceedings and decision-making aspects of the National Assembly. However, we must admit that the members nominated under the same provision are not exempted from the application of Article 122, Clause 3 of the Constitution regarding voting in the House or in our Standing Order number 90 on declaration of interest. Whereas, as their expertise or experience in the particular special interest is expected to guide the proceedings in the committee and the House so as to make informed decisions, they must, however, navigate cautiously to ensure that, and I quote, they are not seen by a reasonable member of the public in the streets to influence the way in which they discharge their parliamentary duties, close the quotes. In addition, even as they bring to the fore the issues of the categories of the same special interests, they do not offend the Code of Conduct and the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act. It follows, therefore, that it is not an offense to belong to a trade union, but it is gross misconduct and out of order to wear the hat of a trade unionist or a workers' representative and at the same time purport to also wear the hat of a member of Parliament in the same sitting of a committee of the House. Similarly, it would be gross misconduct on the part of such a member to use the information obtained through the committee to the advantage of or to advance the interests of those groups outside the committee or Parliament before the matter under consideration is concluded. Honourable members, with respect to the matter touching on the Honourable Sosioni, MP, I wish to remind the House that Article 95 of the Constitution obliges this House and its committees to deliberate on and resolve issues of concern to the people. Such issues are deliberated upon and resolved in the public interest, not to serve personal interests. Ideally, once a member declares a personal interest in a matter, the member has two options. That is, either contribute to deliberations in a manner that does not lead to their interests conflicting with the public interest, or where the member so elects or feels that they cannot resolve their conflict of interest in the appropriate manner, refrain from contributing to the deliberations or recuse oneself. Any other conduct, in my view, would amount to courting disorder in the House and its committees and should attract the specified sanctions under the standing orders. In this regard, if, as alleged, the Honourable Sosioni declared his interest and thereafter conducted himself in a manner that exhibited a clear conflict, the chairperson of the committee was adequately empowered by the standing orders to take the appropriate action. Honourable members, in conclusion, I must stress that to an extent, Standing Order number 90 is deliberately crafted to require members to introspect each time they seek to contribute to debate. As guided in the communication of 26th of July 2018 on the investigatory mandate of House committees and the conduct of members in committees, which I reiterate, and I quote, that prior to the commencement of every meeting, every chairperson must require that members declare their interest in any matter under consideration, close the quotes. In this regard, it is incumbent upon every chairperson to ensure, prior to the commencement of every meeting, members declare their interest in any matter falling within the agenda items of that particular sitting. any member joining a meeting midstream ought to declare any interest before contributing on matters under consideration, and this should similarly apply to any matter proposed as additional business after the conclusion of the main agenda of the meeting. In summary, honorable members, I guide as follows. 1, that as required under Standing Order number 90, any member desiring to speak on a matter in the House for which he or she has interest must declare that interest. Further, in accordance with Article 122, Clause 3 of the Constitution, such member shall not take part in the decision-making on that matter, whether by voice vote or any other form of voting. Chairpersons of committees ought to enforce these provisions in their respective committees. 2, that as to whether a member who has declared interest in a matter should continue to sit and take part in the ensuing deliberations before the particular committee or the House, I will leave that aspect to the sincere conscience of the particular member and the instantaneous directive of the Speaker or the chairperson of the committee as they may deem appropriate on a case-by-case basis. 3, that where the interest declared is of a personal or business relationship with the candidate undergoing vetting before a committee or the House, such a member should not only be disallowed from voting on the approval process in the committee and in the House, but should also recuse himself or herself during the vetting hearings and the approval debate in the particular committee and the House. 4, that with respect to the members of Parliament nominated under Article 97, Clause 1 of the Constitution, that is, those representing the special interests, including the interests of the youth, persons with disabilities, and workers, they are not exempted from the application of the provisions of Article 122, Clause 3, and Standing Order number 90. I do hope that the House is now accordingly guided. I thank you, honourable members. Next order.
Order number 8, procedural motion, reduction of publication period for a specified bill.
Leader of majority. Honour members, honour members, honour members, honour members. Those who have finished their session for today, who are leaving, please leave us in peace.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 120, this House resolves to reduce the publication period of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment Bill. This long recess, the committee, alongside the budget matters, they can deal with it instead of waiting until when we come back. So it's just a procedural motion, and I'll ask Honorable John Bandi, I'm not seeing the chair, to second. I move.
Honorable Bill. Can we all be back into the House? Let us be in the House. Therefore, honour members, I propose a question which is that pursuant to the provision Standing Order number 120, this House resolves to reduce the publication period of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment number 3 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 35 of 2019 from 14 to 1 day. Themselves, the House, that I put the question that pursuant to the provision Standing Order number 120, this House resolves to reduce the publication period of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment number 3 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 35 of 2019 from 14 to 1 day. Will as many as that opinion say aye? Aye. As many of the contrary opinion say no. The ayes have it. Next.
Order number 9, motion, extension of the period for consideration of nominees for appointment to diplomatic missions and the resolution relating to conveyance of names of nominees during the period of recess.
Leader of the majority.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move that this House resolves, 1, Roman 1, to extend the period for consideration. That, Honorable Speaker, I will move it in an amended form, but that this House resolves to extend the period of consideration of the nominees as submitted by His Excellency the President for appointment to the following mission: Abu Dhabi, Algiers, Dublin, Lusaka, Seoul, Stockholm, and UN Habitat, by a period of 14 days from 25th May 2019, pursuant to the provisions of Section 13 of the Public Appointment Parliamentary Approval Act of 2011, relating to the extension of period for consideration of nominees for appointment to public office, and Roman 2, that notwithstanding the provision of Standing Order 42 relating to the reading and laying of messages from the President during the period of May-June 2019 recess in the third session of the 12th Parliament, upon receipt of names of persons nominated for appointment in any state office from the President, the Speaker shall forthwith refer the message containing the names to the relevant committee for consideration without having to recall the House for that purpose. Mr. Speaker, because we are going again on the May-June recess, and 14 days will lapse by the 25th of May when we are still on recess. This motion is asking an extension of 14 days from the 25th of May 2019 for the Committee on Defense and Foreign Relations to have ample time to consider and table their report on 4th of June when we resume. Secondly, in Roman 2, we are again giving the Speaker, in the event the President sends more names, more state officers that require the vetting of the House, that the Speaker does not need to recall the House for just to convey the message of the President in accordance with Standing Order 42, but this motion, if passed, will allow the Speaker just to forward the name to the relevant committee for onward transmission and vetting, and then come the 4th of June, we will receive the reports from those committees. So this procedural motion is in two phases. One is to give the Committee on Defense ample time until 4th of June, based on the requirement of Section 13 of the Appointment Parliamentary Approval Act of 2011. And the second is that to give a leeway to the Speaker in the event the President, in exercise of his powers under 132, he sends names to the Speaker. The Speaker does not require to recall the House for just to read messages. So this is the intent, and I will ask the Chair of Defense and Foreign Relations, Honorable Kato Lemitito, to second.
Honorable Kato.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second this motion. And these names were to come to my committee, the Committee of Defense and Foreign Relations. And if the House adjourned this evening for the recess, as shown in the House calendar, Mr. Speaker, the meaning of this recess is actually to do the estimates, to invite the agencies to go through the estimates for the coming financial year. And my committee, Mr. Speaker, oversight the Ministry of Defense, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the National Intelligence Service, the Ministry of East Africa Committee and Regional Development. And with that heavy load, Mr. Speaker, we will actually request this House to give us some ample time to finish this estimates hearing by the end of this month, and also do the hearing for the nominees, and probably bring the report to the House around 4th to 7th or 8th when the House resumes, Mr. Speaker, and therefore I rise to second.
Honourable members, I propose the question, which is that this House resolves, 1, to extend the period for consideration of the nominees submitted by His Excellency the President for appointment to the following missions: Abu Dhabi, Algiers, Dublin, Lusaka, Seoul, Stockholm, and UN Habitat, by a period of 14 days from 25th of May 2019, pursuant to the provision of Section 13 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011, relating to extension of period for consideration of nominees for appointment to a public office, and Roman 2, that notwithstanding the provision of Standing Order 42, relating to reading and laying of messages from the President during the period of the May-June 2019 recess in the third session of the 12th Parliament, upon receipt of names, the persons nominated for appointment to any state office from the President, Speaker shall forthwith refer the messages containing the names to the relevant committee for consideration without having to recall the House for that purpose. Very well. I put the question. It is that this House resolves, 1, to extend the period for consideration of the nominees submitted by the President for appointment to the following missions: Abu Dhabi, Algiers, Dublin, Lusaka, Seoul, Stockholm, and UN Habitat, and 2, by a period of 14 days from 25th May 2019, pursuant to the provision of Section 13 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011, relating to extension of period for consideration of nominees for appointment to a public office, and 2, that notwithstanding the provision of Standing Order 42 relating to reading and laying of messages from the President during the period of the May-June 2019 recess in the third session of the 12th Parliament, upon receipt of names of persons nominated for appointment to any state office from the President, the Speaker shall forthwith refer the messages containing the names to the relevant committee for consideration without having to recall the House for that purpose. Will as many as that opinion say aye? Will as many as the contrary opinion say no? The ayes have it. Very well, next order.
Order number 10, motion, approval of nominees to Embakasi South Constituency Committee of the National Government Constituency Development Fund. Question to be put.
Leader majority? No, sorry. Honour members, it's put in the question. Pursuant to the provisions of Section 43, subsection 4 of the National Government Constituency Development Fund Act 2015, and paragraph 5, clause 9 and 10 of the National Government Constituency Development Fund Regulations 2016, this House approves the following nominees for appointment to the Embakasi South Constituency Committee of the National Government Constituency Development Fund, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, May 8th, 2019. 1, Stephen Omari Ondero, male youth representative. 2, Duncan Mulwa Nduva, male adult representative. 3, Sabina Warukira Wanjohi, female youth representative. 4, Lynette Mugasiali Mandete, female adult representative. 5, Vincent Odongo Bude, representative of persons living with disabilities. 6, Arbanas Mwicha Musau, nominee of the constituency office, male. 8, Lindia Kwamboka Obwogi, nominee of the constituency office, female. Will as many as that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as the contrary opinion say no? The ayes have it. Very well, Honorable Mawade, now you have a committee. Next. Honour members, next order quickly.
Order number 11, motion, mediated version of the Warehouse Receipt System Bill, Senate Bill number 10 of 2017. Question to be put.
Honour members, member from Delangi. and the guy, no, don't, just where you are. You don't have to jump to move to a higher ground. I could still see you even. Honorable Muliungi, it is not that I was not seeing you. And I'm sure the other members were also able to see you. Honorable members, debate on this motion was concluded, and what remains is for the question to be put, which is that pursuant to the provisions of Article 113, Clause 2 of the Constitution, and standing order number 150, this House adopts a report of the Mediation Committee on the Warehouse Receipt System Bill, Senate Bill number 10 of 2017, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, May 8, 2019, and approves the mediated version of the Warehouse Receipt System Bill, Senate Bill number 10 of 2017. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. And those of the contrary opinion say no? The ayes have it. Next.
Order number 12, motion, report of the Committee of the Whole House on the National Cohesion and Integration Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2019, question to be put and third reading.
Well, honourable members, I put the question, which is that this House do agree with the report of the Committee of the Whole House on its consideration of the National Cohesion and Integration Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 for 2019. Will as many as that opinion say aye? Aye. As many as the contrary opinion say no? The ayes have it. Mover? Who's the mover? Honorable Commander?
To move that the National Cohesion and Integration Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2019, be now read at that time. And I also request Honorable Professor Jacqueline Aduol to second.
Honorable Aduol?
I second.
I propose a question. Member for Soy, you are in the House. Member for Game, you are in, no, don't, just, yeah, like that. Honourable members, I propose the question that the National Cohesion and Integration Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2019, be now read a third time. I put the question, having ascertained that there is quorum, that the National Cohesion and Integration Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2019, be now read a third time. Will as many as that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as the contrary opinion say no? The ayes have it. Member for Soy now can...
A bill for an act of parliament to amend the National Cohesion and Integration Act 2008 and for connected purposes.
Very well. Next order.
Order number 13, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment number 3 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 35 of 2019, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Act 2011 and for connected purposes.
Honourable members, I wish to make this clarification that this particular bill, understanding order number 127, subsection 1, stands referred to the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs, and that pursuant to standing order number 127, subsection 6, paragraph A, the earlier bill, namely the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment number 2 Bill, National of 2019, sponsored by the Honorable Jeremiah Kioni, MP, and read for the first time on 2nd May 2019, will be referred to the Constitutional Implementation Oversight Committee so that there is no conflict. It's so ordered. Leader of the majority party. Honourable members, I interrupt the business as listed on the order paper, indeed the second supplementary order paper, to allow the leader of the majority party to lay certain papers which are important on the table of the House. Leader majority.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Thursday, May 9th, 2019, afternoon sitting. Financial year 2018-2019 supplementary estimates. 2, program-based budget. 2, financial year 2018-2019 supplementary estimate. 2, recurrent expenditure. Financial year 2018-2019 supplementary estimates. 3, development expenditure. And 4, memorandum on the financial year 2018-2019 supplementary estimates. 2.
Very well. I think, honourable members, given that this is the second supplementary, supplementary 2, I think it's only fair that we give the chair of budget committee to make some comments as well as guide the House as to which one will take precedence, these ones or the estimates which were laid on the table. Honourable Ishongwa.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and I appreciate giving me this chance to just comment on that, on the tabling of this supplementary 2. Honourable Speaker, I think the House should indeed express its displeasure with the way the National Treasury is treating the business of the House, because we are only less than, I think it should be about 7 or so weeks. They must be aware, Honourable Speaker, that the House, because the House calendar is not a secret to anybody. Everybody in this country knows what the House calendar entails when the House is going on recess, and they must have been aware that the House goes on recess today. And therefore, having tabled the annual estimates for 2019-2020 last year, then it gives members a lot of work during this recess. And basically, Speaker, that's all I wanted to mention, to just remind honourable members and especially chairs of committees that we will have no choice now other than to process the 2 concurrently. But should there be anything that needs expenditure in the course of this financial year, Honourable Speaker, by the time we resume on the 4th of June, unless, in your view and the view of the Leader of Majority, there is need for a special sitting in between, then I'm saying unless in your view or that of the Leader of Majority, there is need for a special sitting, then it will mean we can only do an appropriation bill for this supplementary 2 and for 2019-2020 concurrently in the course of June when we resume from the first week of June to the second week. And therefore, it will leave any ministry, department, or agency of government less than 2 weeks' time to spend. But, Honourable Speaker, if what is entailed in this second supplementary is to regularize what has already been spent, then there isn't such a big problem. Although, we must make it clear to the National Treasury that there are timelines within which they should adhere to with the calendar of the House, so that you also do not overwork members. Now, committees will be lost on which one to give priority, but I think I just want to beseech committees to process both of them concurrently, so that we are able to process them as soon as we resume at the beginning of June, Honourable Speaker. And with that, I just ask, especially chairs of committees, we will be proceeding on a conference with all chairs, and I think through the liaison committee, they are all aware. It is important that we all attend that conference from Sunday evening all the way to Wednesday morning, so that we agree on the formalities on how we process all these things together. But I think, Honourable Speaker, it is important that the House, as I said, expresses its displeasure with the way the National Treasury and the Executive is treating this House. They must take the business of the House seriously also, to some extent.
Honourable Mbandi.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, it is really disturbing that in the month of May, at such a time like this, that we are getting supplementary estimate 2 from the Treasury. And Mr. Speaker, I think we should express our disgust. It's not even displeasure at what the Treasury is trying to do. And I have a feeling, Mr. Speaker, because this time we have given serious indication to the Treasury that the annual budget estimates for 2019-2020 is not going to be business as usual, because this country is overburdened in terms of taxation and in terms of credit and debt levels. And probably the Treasury is trying to distract our attention from focusing on the main accounts or the main estimates of 2019-2020. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to put a personal request to the Chair and to the Speaker and also the Chair of the Budget Committee that my reading of Article 223, because I believe that these estimates have been tabled here in line with Article 223 of the Constitution. If that is the case, Mr. Speaker, that article says that subject to clause 2 to 4, the national government may spend money that has not been appropriated if the amount appropriated is not enough. Let me just summarize it as such. B, that money that has been withdrawn from the contingencies fund, and then the approval of Parliament for any spending under this article shall be sought within 2 months after the first withdrawal of the money. Mr. Speaker, therefore, this is money that has been spent. That's my understanding. There is no hurry in dealing with this supplementary budget. Let us focus on the annual budget estimates. We keep this supplementary budget pending, because what the law requires is for the Treasury to table it, or rather to seek approval. As to when we give the approval, the House can decide. We can finish the budget estimates first, then we will give the approval even in July, Mr. Speaker. Because, Mr. Speaker, supplementary estimates is a way through which Treasury introduces expenditures that are not, that sometimes are fictitious. Remember last time, Mr. Speaker, we even rejected a supplementary, an allocation in supplementary estimate for the Ruaraka land. I don't even know what the Treasury has done. Probably that is what, again, the Treasury is trying to do through these supplementary estimates. That is why they are introducing them at this time. So, Mr. Speaker, for us to do justice to this country, let us focus fully. I want to persuade the Chair of the Budget Committee and all the other chairs, then let us focus on the annual estimates 2019-2020. We finish, have appropriation bill we finish by 30th of June, then now we can go back to look at the supplementary budget. Because to me, Mr. Speaker, there's no rush. This House has no time limit to deal with this estimate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And of course, I hope that in order to fully comply with Article 223, there is also need for the expenditure to be indicated when it happens, because it's supposed to be within 2 months. It must be within 2 months. Within 2 months, the authority, the approval of the House should be sought within 2 months. Yes, Honorable Madi.
Mr. Speaker, I agree with you, but it is the seeking of the authority which should be done within 2 months.
Yes.
The approval can be given any time. That is my understanding. So they have already sought the authority. So long as they have done it within 2 months and the authority has been sought today, we already have it. So they have fulfilled their part of requirement. It is now for us, Parliament, and there is no condition that we have to make the approval within 2 months. We can make approval afterward. That is why I was asking that if the money has been spent and they have sought this approval within 2 months, now we can have these estimates with us, put them aside for the time being, we deal with the annual estimate, then we come back to the supplementary to do justice to this estimate.
Before you finally sit, if the expenditure happens, if it happened in January this year, and approval is being sought in May,
it's unconstitutional. Because, Mr. Speaker,
that is the point which I was. That's the point I was raising.
Exactly. Actually, the Constitution says the amount appropriated, that the approval of Parliament for any spending under this article shall be sought within 2 months after the first withdrawal. In fact, if the withdrawal is continuous, the withdrawal can take place over a period of 3 months. But from the time of the first withdrawal, the Treasury should seek the approval of Parliament. So today, we will start calculating from today these expenditures that are brought before us. If there is any expenditure that is dating beyond March, and today is when? Today is 9th, May 9th, beyond March 10th is unconstitutional, Mr. Speaker.
And of course, there's a limit also on the percentage. It's only 10%. So that individual committees should also whenever it is that the committees will consider, they must also try to find out whether anything exceeds 10% of what had been appropriated or voted for. Leader majority.
Speaker, what you were just saying, Honorable Bandi did not get it first. And that's, I think, the work of the Budget Committee. The Chair and Honorable Bandi are members of the Budget Committee. You need to scrutinize and see where the Minister has used Article 223, whether he complies with the payment that was done. Is it within 2 months? That's what you said. But, Mr. Speaker, I think the tabling of these supplementary estimates too is within the law. I mean, the Minister has not broken the law. Let me make it very clear. Yes, tabling is within the law, and he is complied with that Parliament must regularize in its wisdom when he used Article
exceeding the permissible limits. So I think let's just go to business. Go on now with the business. Next order.
Order number 14, the Statute Law Miscellaneous Amendments Bill, National Assembly Bill number 21 of 2019.
Well, honour members, the following members and contributing to this motion: the mover, the Honourable Duale, seconder, the Honourable Cheptumo, the Honourable Makali, the Honourable Limo, the Honourable Munyaka, the Honourable Amalwa, the Honourable Mutai Kiblagat, and the Honourable Kipkoech Tonui, who was on his feet as a balance of 2 minutes. Honourable Tonui, you wish to make use of the balance of 2 minutes? Very well.
Thank you,
The
Mr.
people of
Speaker.
Bomet Central should be heard.
And yes, I am ready to proceed, but possibly you may need to correct my name. I am not Kipkoech. I am Kiprotich. So I don't know where it is captured.
But I know you are suddenly Tonui.
So, okay.
Leonard or Bernard.
So that is my true name. Thank you. I had already commented on a number of amendments on the various acts. I want to continue on the Merchants Shipping Act, and where we want to see the power of this House to a CS, because what we are proposing here is that, notwithstanding any other provision of this Act, the Cabinet Secretary may, on the recommendation of the authority, by notice of in the Gazette and subject to such conditions as may be appropriate, exempt any government entity or enterprise from the provision of this Act, where such exemption is in the public interest. I believe this is sitting power of this House to the executive, to the CSS, to make law. And I believe this is not the correct way to go, when even it comes to the issue of public interest to be determined by the CS. Surely that is giving a blank check to the CS to write on. So I oppose this one strongly. I don't support it. We should never do such an irresponsible act to hand over the responsibilities of this Parliament to another arm of government. On the issue of the Court of Appeal Act, where we are bringing an amendment to introduce some recesses, I believe this may be unfair. Each individual judge of the Court of Appeal can proceed on leave can take his own holiday, but not the whole court taking a leave during a certain period. That could be very unfair to the clients who are seeking stay orders from the Court of Appeal. I believe individual judges should be the ones to take that leave, but not the whole court. It's going to be unfair because some certain issues are very urgent to the clients who go to this court, and they need to be heard. But if the court is going to be away for a period of nearly a whole month, because it's from somewhere in mid-December to the mid of January,
Honourable members, there had been some indication. The Honourable Sharif Nasir Sharif.
Asante sana Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, ningeomba nitumie lugha fasaha ya Kiswahili ili tuweze kufahamikiana. Bwana Spika, kabla ya Kenya kuwa na mfumo wa serikali ya vyama vingi na kabla ya Kenya kuwa na katiba mpya ambao tunautumia sasa hivi, kulikuwa na kipengele katika sheria ya State Corporation Act. Na kipengele hiki 5A, Bwana Spika, kilikuwa kinampatia ruhusa rais wa Kenya ya kwa licha ya masala yote yaliyoko pale, rais akiweza kupeleka ilani katika gazette notice, anaweza kuinua sehemu yoyote katika sheria hii isipokuwa vipengele 17 peke yake. Sasa Bwana Spika, tuangalie sarakasi ya marekebisho ambayo yanayohitajika kufanywa kutumia mswada huu kumba, ama kwa lugha ya Kiingereza miscellaneous. Hii inajaribu kumpatia uwezo na nguvu waziri, wakati ule ilikuwa ni rais wa Kenya, baada ya kuingia katiba mpya na kuweza kuingia mfumo mpya wa Kenya inavyoendeshwa, bunge hili likaamua kutoa kipengee kile ya kuwa hakuna yoyote anayeweza kuinua sheria yoyote ya bunge isipokuwa bunge lenyewe. Wakimaana sio mswada ambao kwamba ni miscellaneous ama mswada kumba ambao kwamba kuna uwezekano ya watu kutoweza kuona na kujua ni kitu gani kinaendelea. Bwana Spika, bunge hili liliweza kukataa. Leo tunaletewa mswada kuweza kukubali ya kwa waziri akiamua, licha ya mambo yaliyoweza kupitishwa na bunge, waziri akiamua basi anaweza kuinua na kwa kalamu yake yeye kuinua sheria ambayo imeweza kuwekwa na bunge hili. Bwana Spika, kuna mambo mengine tutayahisi. Ndugu yangu Mheshimiwa Duale anasema kwa hafahamu lugha yangu, lakini ningeomba zile dakika zilobaki niweze kujitoa dukuduku langu na sije nikazungumza kwa lugha ambao kwamba pengine ni ya hasira nikaambiwa ya kuwa pengine ni saumu, lakini ni zile hisia ya kuweza kufanywa ni zile hisia, Bwana Spika, ya hawa watu wanavyojaribu kutuchukua sisi na tunachajaribu kuambiwa. Unajua, ukienda katika maeneo pale anapotoka Mheshimiwa Duale, ni mfano wa kuuziwa mifugo kwa kuoneshwa wayo wa yule mfugo alivyopitwa. Unaambiwa ya kuangalia mfugo huyo amepita hapa, amewanda, na ukiangalia zile kato vile alivyoweza kupita pale. Kule kwetu mfano mwingine unaweza kutumiwa ni kupelekwa katika bahari
kisha uone yale mawimbi yanavyopiga, mvuvi aanze kukuuzia samaki akwambie hapa kuna sulisuli, kuna kolekole, kuna papa, kuna nyangumi, takuuzia kwa kuangalia tu yale mawimbi yanavyopiga. Bwana Speaker, ni muhimu sana leader of majority na leader kiongozi wa walio wengi
What is happening? You are not
Asante sana. Unajua Bwana Speaker, saa nyingine ni muhimu sana. Kuna wengine kutofahamu zile sheria za bunge, wanaona ya kwa kuita jina lako basi hutukatiza maneno. Na katika hali ya kutukatiza maneno hatufahamu pengine nia yao ni ipi. Lakini ningemuomba aache niendelee Bwana Speaker, ama umkataze kuweza kuendelea kuzungumza. Bwana Speaker,
hakuna mtu amekukataza kuchangia.
Bwana Speaker, nataka tu kuelezea ya kuwa lao wangelikuwa na nia safi, mswada huu ungeletwa kwa njia ya kisawasawa, sio kwa njia ya mswada kumba ama miscellaneous. Na kwa njia huu mswada kumba ukiletwa, njia na madhumuni na nia ilikuwa ni mswada kama huu ukiwekwa, huwa ni mkusanyiko wa sheria tofauti tofauti. Lao kuna mabadiliko ya herufi, kuna mabadiliko ya mambo madogo madogo ambayo hayana uzito wa maana hivyo. Lakini leo kwenda kupeleka mswada kama huu kwa kupitia njia hii, ni njia ambayo kwamba inatumika ya ulaghai Bwana Speaker, sio sababu nyingine. Na wataregea hapa, na mimi nataka kuambia bunge kukupitia kwa wewe Speaker, kulielezea bunge huu mswada ukibadilishwa, njia na madhumuni ni nini? Njia na madhumuni Bwana Speaker, serikali ya Japan walitoa bilioni 27 kukajengwa terminal mpya ya port katika Mombasa. Bilioni 27. Kukaandikwa mkataba. Katika ule mkataba kukaelewana ya kuwa lao kutakuwa na nia ya kuwa kuna ulazima ya kuwa shirika ambalo sio KPA kuendesha terminal ile, basi kulikuwa kutumike public private participation, ile act ambayo kwamba iweze kutumika iwe ni act hiyo Bwana Speaker. Lakini leo tunajaribu kuletewa mashirika ambayo kwamba ni ya kibinafsi kutumia njia ambayo kwamba sio sawa. Lugha watakaotumia ni kwa njia hii ni kuweza kuleta Kenya National Shipping Line. Mbele yangu Bwana Speaker, na hizi ni document ambazo kwamba zimeletwa katika kamiti tofauti za bunge, kuna karatasi yenye kuonyesha hii Kenya National Shipping Line ni ya nani. Kenya National Shipping Line 74.3 inafaa kuwa ni ya KPA, 12.5 ni ya Unimar, 12.5 nyingine ni ya kampuni DG. Lakini serikali wamekubaliana, na kabla ya sheria kuweza kupitishwa, lakini hizo share hazijaweza kutolewa. Hivi sasa hivi ilivyo, KPA ina 53, kampuni ya Hayward ina 23, kampuni ya Unimar 7%, kampuni nyingine DG na 7%. Sasa wanajaribu. Ningeomba kiongozi aweze kunipatia ruhusa.
Yes, what's the point of order?
Speaker, Mheshimiwa mjumbe wa vita na kiongozi wa kamati ya PIC.
Kwa Kiingereza Bwana Speaker.
PIC amesema maneno ambaye inahusu vile makampuni tofauti wanazimiliki shares yao. Anaweza kuonyesha ushahidi kulingana na nikisimama kwa hoja ya standing order ya number 91 ili aonyeshe speaker ya kwamba kuna ushahidi ya kutosha ya kwamba KPA iko na sijui shares inaitwa nini kwa Kiswahili. KPA iko na hisa hii, shipping line ambayo ni serikali iko na hisa hii. Kama una ushahidi, kama hana ushahidi, basi utamuuliza azikanushe, azikane hizo matamshi.
Bwana Spika, asante sana. Hii ni barua ambayo kwamba imeandikwa kwa karani mkuu wa bunge. Haya si maneno yangu mimi, na kwa ruhusa yako Bwana Spika, ningeomba niiweke katika meza waweze kuikubali ama kuikataa karatasi hii.
Table it, bring it.
Kitambo ya kuendelea Bwana Spika,
you can continue as I look at
asante sana. Unajua tatizo Bwana Spika ni kila mmoja hujifanya kuwa ni spika katika bunge hili. Lakini Bwana Spika, asante sana. Spika, ningeomba tu kuweza kutaja jambo jingine hapa, kwa sababu katika hisia ambazo wanajaribu kutumia, katika hisia wanazojaribu kutumia hawa mabwana, la kwanza la pili wanazungumza ya kuwa kutakuwa na nafasi za kazi. Swala lile tunaliuliza sisi, hatukatai na hakuna anayepinga ya kuwa ni sawa tuwe na maendeleo na kuwe na usawa katika nchi. Kwa nini iwe ni kampuni moja peke yake yenye kupatiwa nafasi hii bila ya kuwa na mkataba wa maana ambao kwamba umefuata sheria? Kwa nini ikiwa tunataka kupeana poti yetu kwa kampuni kwa sababu KPA imeshindwa kuendesha, ikiwa hiyo ndio sababu, kwa nini kusiwe na competitive bidding? Na natumia hii lugha hii ili kuweza pengine kuwakumbusha tu na kuwafahamisha Wakenya, kwa nini kusiulizwe na kuwekwe makaratasi kuambiwa ya kuwa kampuni ukaweza kulipeleka swala hili kwa wenye kuhusika, ya kuwa kuna mashirika ya nje badili ya kuajiri wa Kenya wanaajiri watu ambao kwamba sio wa Kenya, licha ya kuwa wa Kenya wana uwezo wa kufanya kazi zile. Majawabu tulioweza kuyapata, na niko radhi naweza kuelezea ya kuwa wako katika hali ya kubadili sheria.
I gave you extra time because of the point of order. So let me just make this observation. This photocopy of this letter appears to be authentic, but I wish to make the following observation. This letter is written to the Clerk of the National Assembly by Kenya National Shipping Line Limited. It relates to appearance before Public Investments Committee. I just wish to caution. Now, the Honorable Absalomand is the chair of that committee. Now he has taken the document which was supposed to be before his committee and has brought it here before the committee has tabled any report as to why, as to their determination of this matter. And I just want to caution, if this is the way chairs of committees are going now to treat material that is provided to them, or indeed even members, then you are going to make committees become a laughing stock, because people will now start fearing giving you information, because you have not sat as a committee or PIC to deliberate on this, to bring a report. Now you have taken, and it's quite telling, you are the chair, you are the chairman of the committee, you have taken the liberty to take a photocopy. I don't know how many of your members also have taken copies, and where they could be now, these copies. They could be all over the streets. Because now you see, this shows bad leadership. Because as the chair of the committee, to do this. Now, we don't know who else has decided also to take copies of this. Because what you are supposed to do is deliberate as a committee. On the day you table your report, now that becomes public, so the information you have given has been processed through your committee. But now, you as the chairman has decided to pick copies. If this is the way you are doing it in the committee, then the committee is going to lose credibility. And when people start writing to say that they are afraid of providing information, it is because of this kind of, because the Honorable Sheriff, this does not prove anything other than to show shareholding. Your committee there was a reason why you wrote. Now, this should come accompanied by a report of what your committee has decided or has deliberated on and resolved and recommending to the House. Now, this is premature. So for purposes of this debate, this particular photocopy is inadmissible, though appearing authentic for the reasons I have stated. Please, and avoid, I want to caution members, please avoid taking photocopies or documents that are presented before in committee. Even if you wanted me to see, please avoid. I don't want to see until you have tabled your report. I don't need to see. You, as committee, you have power under the Constitution, under the standing orders, to seek whatever information. When it comes to you, please process it as a committee. Don't even bring to me. Then even you are selling the staff. The staff will also start taking photocopies of every document. Where they take those documents, you never know. How they are used and the purposes for which they may be used out there, we don't know. So please, this one we will not admit it here. Take it to wherever because now I don't know how many more copies you may be keeping of this nature, but you can take it back. You have made your point. But please, desist from this way of transacting business. It's really unprocedural. And I'm afraid, if the staff serving your committee now know that the chair is in this kind of modus operandi, don't be surprised when you start seeing documents which you did not think ought to have been somewhere where they are not being floated in the streets. It could compromise the work, the integrity of the work of the committee. This is just a word of advice. Yes. The next member on this is Honorable. No. I gave Honorable Abdulswamad, I'll give you 1 more minute. 1 more minute. Please, conclude.
Asante sana Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, nashukuru kwanza kwa mwelekezo wako kuhusiana na karatasi hii. Pili, hii karatasi hawakutupatia sisi tulipokuwa katika kikao cha bunge. Tulikuwa tuko wajumbe, tulikuwa tumeitwa wajumbe wa Pwani katika hali ya kuuliza hii karatasi waliitoa pale. Sio kuwa tumeitoa katika komiti, Bwana Spika, kwanza. Pili, Bwana Spika, nasisitiza tena ya kuwa lao nia na madhumuni yao ni